In this course, we talked a lot about the tools and techniques for making different types of shapes, but we didn't really talk about making a lot of different objects together or making a scene as a whole. So in this video, I want to give you some important tips on how to go about that. First, plan out what you want in the scene by making a super simple version of each object. You can literally just use cubes smashed together if you want, whatever communicates the basic shapes with as little work needed as possible. The point here is just to have pieces that you can move around and adjust to plan out the scene. Otherwise, without this, you might spend hours on details that you later realize don't really matter or need to change. A basic blockout like this can save you a lot of time in the long run and help your final composition look better. Once you have your blockout, go ahead and create more detailed models one by one, starting with the most important model first. Don't try to get too detailed right away, or you won't have time for all the other objects, or you'll burn out before you even get to them. Only create as much detail as necessary, and in proportion to how much of that detail you'll actually see from the camera. It's often better to have a lot of simple objects than a few highly detailed ones, at least when starting out. And as you go, model to real-world scale. Google can tell you the dimensions of most objects, but if it's not easy to find out, then you can eyeball it pretty well if you're using reference and are comparing it to something that you do know is real-world size. In the downloads of this course, I'll provide a human character that was modeled by Kent. It's not really meant to be in your render, but it is great for judging whether or not the proportions are correct. When you add a human for scale, it becomes really obvious if the stairs are too tall, a doorknob is too low, or a chair is too deep. Like I've said before, most beginners have trouble with proportions and making objects too thick or thin or not the right height. And so taking the time to check and correct that will make your renders way better than those from people who are at the same skill level as you are, but skip that step. For practical tips, be sure to keep your local orientations aligned with the object, so rotate things in object mode whenever you can, which will just make your life a lot easier. Also, don't forget to apply scale when working with things like bevels so they behave as expected. Lastly, keep your scene organized and in collections that make sense. For example, I might have 2 or more objects that make up a chair, so I'll put them into one collection so I can enable and disable it easily, and parent one to the other so that I can move it around easily too. Don't forget that you can use / on the number pad to go in and out of local view so that you can focus on one part of the scene at a time. With that, I think you're ready to put these skills to the test, so head on over to the next lesson and let's start the exercise.